Hello, thank you for joining me. This is Sandra with Sandra Torno Art. Today we're going to be doing a watercolor with Kuretake watercolors and do a uh, bouquet with sunflowers in a glass vase. I took the liberty to go ahead and sketch out my um, painting of sunflowers with the vase, and I put down some uh, washi tape to keep it on the glass and sprayed my Kuratake watercolors that I'm going to be using today. Today I'm using two brushes. I'm using a Royal and Langnickel Filbert size 8, and then I'm also using a golden Taklon angle shader 1/8 inch, very small. So on the watercolors I'm using, they are Kuretake, all of them. And I'm using the raw umber deep, the cadmium yellow, a very tiny bit of indigo, shadow green, aurelian, rose madder, olive green, and grayish blue. So here I'm painting the middle of the sunflowers with the um, raw umber very lightly. I'll end up doing several coats of this to get it real dark. I've got 3 little sprigs of, they're going to be blue flowers here um, eventually. Just trying to do a real light layer to get a base. This is 140-pound watercolor paper. It's a 4x6, and I may put it on a 4x6 panel when I'm done, or I may cut it down to a card size. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. I've sped up several portions of this that are repetitious and doing all the colors, but I did not cut anything out. Just a few sections are sped up to 4 times just to minimize the length of this video. There are 3 sunflowers sketched out here in a clear glass vase. I want to thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. I love sunflowers. I have sunflowers in my garden, and I posted this on my Facebook business page, and I said I was just dreaming of my garden blooming sunflowers because the sun was shining so beautiful today. I'm ready. I'm ready for the winter to be over. So you may notice I use my glass mat for everything. Acrylics, watercolor, everything. Main reason is it cleans up so easy. Unless I just need a big puddle of something, and then I would use a palette. But here I'm putting it on my glass mat and just adding water to put a very thin layer in the vase. This is the shadow blue, I believe. Let me look. The grayish blue. And it dilutes very nice for a water effect. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Um, I try to do a video every so often. I shoot for once a week, but typically it's once every 10 to 14 days. Life just gets in the way. I do a lot of shows, so a lot of times I'm working on showpieces. I've got 2 paintings currently in the Visual Art League of Louisville Absolutely Abstract exhibition, which ends the 7th of this month. Um, I painted a 11 by 14 acrylic that I entered into a show. I'll find out the end of February. And then 2 of my current pieces, Morning Glow and New Beginnings, I entered into a show. I'll find out the middle of March. So usually I'm working on very large pieces. So to work on the smaller pieces, I really enjoy. I have a friend who just purchased a new home, and she actually wanted one of my large paintings, Journey, but she wants a second one for her bedroom. So I've got to work on that next week. So I can't promise a video next week, but I'll do the best I can. I work as small as 3 by 3 inches to 30 by 40 inches and everything in between. A lot of my gallery wrapped canvases are 30 by 40. If you haven't looked at my website, the link is in the description, and any artwork that I have available is in there. I do greeting cards, paintings, originals, very few prints. I do have a few prints, but not that many. I have coffee mugs with my artwork on them. I think I have one ornament left that I actually painted with acrylic paint and put a scene all the way around the ornament. So be sure and check that out. And if you have any questions, like I said, just ask me and I'll be happy to answer them. I don't do affiliate links. There are some videos I did in the beginning that had them. I'm just not a fan, and I say it every time, but I'm not. So if there's any question as to what I'm using, if I don't mention it, let me know and I'll be happy to answer you. But I don't do affiliate links at the present time. I'm not going to say I won't ever change, but I don't think I will. I do this more for fun. The way you can support me, you can buy me a coffee. Um, buy me a coffee for $4 or $5 to help with materials. Um, Subscribe and visit my website. And if you see anything that you care for, then order it. And that's how you can help support me. I don't do Patreon. Um, I mainly do this for fun. Share it with your friends. I do watercolor, I do charcoal, acrylic, mixed media. About the only thing I don't do is oil. So here I'm putting a darker area along the brown so that when I come in with the yellow, it's going to give us a good tone underneath. If you notice with sunflowers, they're not just pure yellow. There's a lot of orangish brown, reddish brown, light yellow, dark yellow, and I'm trying to distinguish that with these 3 sunflowers. It's a layering process with this being watercolor. Um, it's a layering process. You start off and just keep building until you get it the way you want. The picture that I showed you in the beginning of the video is actually the finished product. I am going to do a light brown for a background on this. And one thing I like to make sure people understand is when you do a glass vase, The color that's in the background should also be in the vase, like completely through, so you can see it. So you don't color a blue vase for water and then not put another color on top. But we'll add that here in a minute. I do spray it a couple of times with water just to get the color to move. I'm putting a little yellow, blue down under here, but we're going to change that up here in a minute with another layer. Hope everybody's having a good week. Today is Wednesday, February 4th. Nothing much going on here in Texas. And like I said, we enjoyed the summer, not summer, um, sunshine today. We had some snow for a while and ice. And actually, the ice just melted a day or two ago off our front porch. It was in the shade and it took it forever. Here I'm just softening the edges on that darker area around the sunflower. When I sketched out these sunflowers, I did put petals falling over the top and to the side. I didn't just want um, straight, full face on petals. So I tried to make them three different angles. And the way you can do that is with the center of the flower. If you actually draw the center first and then foreshorten the petals where they need to be to look realistic. So that was the indigo, and I put a little bit of the olive green in with it for the leaves. I'm going to put another layer on the leaves as well. Typically, I even put yellow. I didn't do that this time. I like the really dark leaves against the yellow flowers and the glass vase and the light background. I think it just really made them pop. So you got leaves and the background of these three flowers. So I'm going to intermingle little spaces and areas of green, not necessarily painting a whole leaf, but insinuating that there's leaves behind these three flowers. Just little dots and dabs. And when you do this, you can actually negative paint around the flowers to give them some structured petals if you want. I did do that at the end a little bit. It's still very light. It'll get darker as we do the layers. So here I'm painting my stems. And if you notice that first one I did, typically in water, the stems do not go straight down through the water. With the reflection of the water, you actually see the stem, and then to the right or left, you see the remainder of the stem. I like to show that in at least one or two of them, just to give that illusion of water. And you have the ring of the water here that I'm painting now. And it looks kind of greenish. I'm going to change it up. I'm just getting the layer in. Um, I'm also going to put some more shadow blue in here, and it's going to look really dark. And I'm actually going to lift a lot of this off, but I'm just getting that illusion of glass. Now when I use acrylic, you can actually use your white acrylic to show the highlight of the glass. I don't typically do that with watercolor, I do use, you know, PH Martin's uh, white, but it was small. I just didn't think it was needed. It looked to me like it was glass, the uh, way it came across, so I didn't feel like I needed any highlights in there. You could definitely put them. There's nothing wrong with that. And if it had been acrylic, I would have definitely done it. I like the way it looks. But with watercolor and this small of a painting, I just did not feel that it was needed. So it looks really dark here. And it actually reminds me of like a mason jar. But I'm going to lighten it. So I'm just doing some blending on the edges here. A little bit of the indigo I used there um, with the green to darken those leaves. But at the end, I actually get them darker. A lot of water, very light, not very much paint at all. Okay, so here I'm lifting some of that watercolor to make these colors light. And I've got a baby white that's damp, and I'm actually got a clean damp brush lifting it and tapping it on to lift up more of that paint, just to get that glass looking effect in my vase. So now this vase is not completely shown. It continues to the bottom. That's why the stems go all the way to the end, because we can't actually see the end, because it would be a taller vase because these are large flowers. I'm taking just some plain water and um, softening those edges on the vase. And if some of that color bleeds out, that's okay to me. It just adds to it. So now we've gone back to the sap green, and I'm just really adding layers to get these leaves really dark. Once I got the vase like I like it and brightened up, I want the leaves to be darker up against that. Then I'm going over the stems. So now I have the burnt umber and these brown stems, three of them up at the top. I have to have brown stems coming down through the water in the vase. So that's what I'm doing here with broken lines, not one straight line. I do a little bit and skip and then do a little bit more. And I only had three, so I just put three in with three stems for the flowers. Here I'm going to take the blue shadow color and I'm going to put some little flowers on these brown stems that are sticking out here. And then I'm going to take my wet wipe and just dab off the excess paint to lighten those up a little bit. I don't want them real dark. They're not the star of the show, the sunflowers are. And you could put different flowers, more stems, more leaves. I just was trying to make it pretty simplistic for what I was going for. Here I've sped it up. And this is rose madder with aureolin to make an orange. And I'm putting a layer of this on top of the first layer of yellow on the sunflowers to give it some depth, and it's all going to be the same. That's why I sped it up. I'm just literally going over it with a glaze. A lot of water. And we're going to put more yellow on top. It looks kind of weird right now, but it'll come together here in a moment. Here I'm taking a clean, thirsty brush and taking some paint off my leaves and picking it up with the wet baby wipe, giving me a little bit lighter centers. Here we're going in with another layer of yellow to distinguish the petals. And this is the cadmium yellow here. Now, I sketched this out, and I sketched it out with an HB pencil. My pencil lines do very lightly show. If you don't like that, what you can do is take a kneaded eraser and roll it over the sketch before you start painting, or use a very opaque watercolor. Mine are not. So the flower on the left, there is some noticeable outline of petals. It does not bother me. If it bothers you, then you might want to choose another color to make sure those are covered up. So now I've got my orange and my yellow petals on my sunflowers. And I cut out one part of this, I know for sure. I think the last part came through. But I did stop and dry it just because I had so much water on here. And occasionally I would even spray the painting to get the color to move. This is the burnt umber, and I'm going to do the background in that very lightly. This is very dark, so I'm getting more and more water to spread this out and dilute it to get it up through the background. Just negative paint around the leaves and petals the best you can to give a very light background. When I first did this, I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I like it." But when it dried, it actually turned out very nice. So I'm just going around all of the painting. The washi tape with the water at this point was trying to peel up, which I'm going to cut the borders off anyway when I use it, but um, that's what I keep doing is fighting with the washi tape. So I did make the left side lighter than the right side. The shadow side would have been the right side. I'm still fighting with the washi tape. So here is what I was talking about. You want to put the brown through the vase because the vase is glass. And so it's going to show the brown wall uh, through that glass. So you want to incorporate that color in with your glass to make it look more realistic. Here I spit it up. I'm just doing the yellow one more time over the top. I'm actually doing quite a bit of negative painting here to incorporate the green and the petals together. I like the different layers because all the oranges and bright yellows and dull yellows shine through just to give it dimension. I took a little bit of the indigo just around the edges, but I ended up blending it out with the brown that really didn't show so much at the end. I like the really dark brown, and with the indigo, it helped make it really dark. But I'm going in between the petals that are over the top and the edges to really enhance these centers. Now, I don't do the seeds when I do, especially watercolor paintings like this. I just try to give it a dimension with a darkness where it almost looks back black without using black. Just touching up my petals there. And then here I've got the burnt umber. Just making it really dark. And one last time, we're about done. I just like that yellow to just be as bright as it can be. I'm softening some of the edges on the side. And here I am drawing it for the last time. Like I said, I cut out the first time I dried it out and taking off the washi tape. Just see the final review. I really like how it came out. It's only a 4x6, but it's very elegant and simplistic, which I like. So there's a couple of things I could do. I could put this on a panel board and then use some wax medium so I didn't have to varnish it or frame it or anything. And I may try that, or I may make a card out of it. I don't know. I like them both. We'll see. So I dry the back in case it wants to curl up. That just helps to kind of settle everything in, and it is dry. I thank you for joining me, and I apologize for it being a while since I've done a video. Everything's fine, it's just life gets in the way sometimes. But I will definitely see you soon, and if there's any videos that you would like to see, let me know, and I'd be happy to try to accommodate you. Here's the finished painting I put behind a yellow background. And thank you so much. See you soon.